Okay, welcome back to part 3 of modifying this Mark IV Golf R32. Well, the windows anyway. So from the previous videos, you would have seen me obviously cut the windows out, do all the prep work. We've just made the brackets for the motors, and now we're just gonna, if I'll just pan you around, where are they? So we're just going to make the brackets that that glue to the back of the glass, and this is what the motor is going to kind of like bolt onto. So that is going to enable the glass to be able to be pushed out and back in. So if I set the camera up, because obviously I'm on my own today. So if I set the camera up, and then I'll show you the process of what I do here to make that part up. And then we've got to we've got to black out the rear quarter windows, because obviously you've got the mechanism obviously on show here, but we want to put a black band around that window there, so you basically you can't see it. So we'll need to do that on the rear of the glass, just there. So yeah, let's get the brackets that are going to be bonded onto the glass all ready. So I'll show you that. Okay, so we've got our brackets. So I'm just going to put them in the vise. And then what we need to do is we just need to put some riv nuts in the center again. But I just need to drill the center hole out to a 9mm. So we'll do that one. We'll do that one. And then we can put our riv nut in. I'll just show you. So we've got the riv nut in there, and then what we'll do then is then we can then feed the thread in, and then we got to cut the length off to suit, and then I'll fix that in, and then this is the this thread here is what we'll use to slide onto the window motor. So we'll just do the same with the other one. So there is the 2 plates that we need. They will be bonded somewhere there, which is why we need to put a black band around here, because otherwise you're going to see all this, and you don't want to see all that because it looks horrible. So basically the mechanism will do that, and then that plate allows the glass to be pushed in and out, and then the thread will go through there, through here, and then we'll have a bolt or a nut on this side and the opposite side, and then we can wind it up and down the shaft, so we can kind of determine how tight or how loose we can have the glass up against this rubber seal. Right, so what we need to do now, we just need to cut down the length. So if we just mark it either side. Like that. It doesn't, this fly is pissing me off. It's off. So yeah, let's just cut that off as straight as we can. It hasn't got to be exact. Again, safety first. And then we're just gonna get all the burrs off and just make sure it's as smooth as we can, because we don't want any metal or any shards of the metal poking up against the edge of the glass. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just need to cut these down. So you want to give yourself enough thread like that. So I reckon if we cut about that much off, I've wound it in so it's almost flush. You don't want it sticking out like that, because this part is the one that's got to be stuck to the back of the window. So I think that should be enough. We can always come out a little bit. And so that's going to be glass side. And then the motor's going to slide on there with two nuts, one either side of it. And then you can wind it in and out, up and down the shaft, just to determine how tight you want the glass. Pushing in onto the rubber seal, which is obviously you want it tight, but not over tight. So if we do the same on the other one, and then we need to paint this black. And then what we need to do then is we just need to paint. Well, what we'll do is we'll get the glass in, we'll get it taped up, we'll put it in dry into the body, and then we can then determine where we need to mask off, because obviously we've got to paint that black band. So let's get this one done. What I'll do is if I wind that back out, I can get my measurement. So I'm just marking it up. Get that measurement. Okay, so before I paint them, I'm just going to take the one over. That is how it's going to kind of sit. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and get the glass. I'm just going to go and tape it in dry. And yeah, so just so I can get the position for that black band there. So I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so I've just taped in the glass, so nothing's actually holding that glass in apart from the yellow tape. And then this is what I mean. So obviously that's the plate that's on the inside of the glass. So it's just kind of resting in its position. And then I've just taped the outside, because this will now kind of tell me where I need to put the black band. So what I'll do is I'll take the glass back out, put it on the trestle, tape the inside of the glass, put a nice edge round it, so it's just like curve it round in the corners. And then basically that is where the black band will need to be painted. So at least you can kind of understand what I'm trying to do at this part. So what I'll do is I'll take all the glass back out now. I'll do the same on the other side. And then I'll bring you back when I'm about to prime and black out that area of the glass, just so you can see what I'm up to. Okay. So there you have it. So I've just taped on the inside of the glass, and then I've just gone over, that's just one coat of black primer. So I'll just let that dry. If you think that it needs to have another coat, then do so, but you need to let it properly dry, otherwise when you go over it, you'll just literally just wipe the original coat back off it. And that's kind of what we're going for. It's basically just to hide all the mechanism and the glue that you're going to be putting on. Okay, so following on from yesterday, I've allowed the primer to dry properly now on these windows. So I've got them all on the trestles ready to go into the car. So the next thing to do now then is we're just going to prep the glass. Even though we've primed it and we cleaned it on part 2 or 1, can't really remember, we still need to just degrease the glass again, because obviously we've been manhandling it with all our greasy fingers. So we just need to make sure that it's all nice and clean. So again, with some cleaner, degreaser, we're just going to go down the part that is going to be glued. So that's basically the outer edge. And on that one, and again, see, I'm still taking dirt off it. And then what we'll do, we'll just do the same on the body as well, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so again, turning the glass over, we just got to make sure that we don't grab the underneath, because otherwise cleaning that glass is just pointless. So just grab it with the edges, flip it over, all these little top tips. And again, we're just going to clean the outside of the glass with just some glass cleaner. And then it doesn't have to be yellow tape, just get your masking tape. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to get the tape onto the glass. So basically your tape is there ready and waiting, instead of gluing the glass in and then trying to find where the tape is. The glass is all prepped, the body is all prepped. I've got the glue gun all ready and waiting. And so what we're going to do, we're going to bond a strip of glue about that wide from top to bottom. We're not going to go around the corners, we're just going to kind of keep it somewhere like that. When you put the glass in, obviously it bonds to the glass. We'll tape it up so we kind of keep it in that position, and then when it's dry, the flex of the glue acts as the hinge. So obviously minimum movement here, but this side will create, obviously it's got a rippled effect, so you'll get a slightly bigger gap here than there. So it'll barely move this side, but this side will give you that opening. Yeah, and that, I kind of, many years ago, it was Citroen, who I come across it one day at one of their dealerships. One of their rear quarter windows had smashed, so I went there to replace it, trying to find, you know, the conventional mushroom nuts, etc., like the old school, and it was just held in by a piece of bond. So I thought, well, if it's good enough for Citroen, it's good enough for, I won't say VW because I'm doing it, but it's good enough.
Good enough for Dave.
It's good enough for me. So yeah, that's the little trick of the trade. I haven't tested it with them open driving, but someone needs to. I haven't got the balls to.
That's Barry's job.
That is Barry's job. Okay, so we've got the glue gun ready, and then what we'll do, we're just gonna, they're already pre-cut nozzles, so you need to put a V shape in it. These are already done. And then we're just gonna go down that inner edge to there. And then what we're looking for to make sure that the glue is slightly taller than the rubber seal itself. But the theory is, again, is because you can push that down, so what we're going to do is we're going to put pressure on that glass. So pushing it down will create a bit of a better seal with the bond as well. And then obviously in return you'll get a better seal there, so no water can get past it in that point. And then we need to let that set for the night. Right then, let's go for it. So there you go. So there's the bond. Essentially that is your hinge. All right. So what I tend to do is I tend to kind of go at the glue at a slight angle and not just flat, or push it in that way, because obviously you're going to create overspill, which is what you want to try and avoid. So we'll go in like that. And then I went in slightly that way, which is what you want to do. And then once the glass has hit the glue, you then want to kind of almost just slightly drag the glass that way, just to minimize any overspill. And then it's just a case of positioning the glass so it looks like an even gap all the way around. And once you're happy, put the tape on, because that'll just hold the glass in that position, like so. And then what we can do, if you just put the camera down the side, you want to make sure that that glass is either flush or just sat just slightly into the recess. Obviously you're never going to get it to sit all the way in like it was from factory, because obviously you've got that rubber seal on it now. But what you don't want to do is have the glass poking further out from the body, because you could create wind noise and etc, etc. So what we'll do now, we'll just put a little bit of pressure on the glass just to make sure that it has touched the bond, but not too much, because again, you don't want to create any overspill. And there we have it, that's one in. So what we'll do now, we'll just put a bit more tape. Let's see if it'll hold, because the amount of polish on this car. Okay, so that's one done. So we'll just repeat the process on the driver's side. Okay, so we're now inside the cart, and these are the brackets that are made. So this is how it's going to work. We're just going to slide the thread through, and then almost find its own natural position, like so. And then what we'll do is we'll put some glue behind there, let it ooze out, clean off the excess, and then the glue's that strong it'll just kind of hold in position like that overnight. And then once it is all dry, the following day we can then put 2 nuts on it, and we can power the motor up, and we should be able to energize the glass and get it moving. That is all nice and seated onto the seal. And then obviously once this is all dry, I should be able to then manipulate that and bring that glass in using this thread here. And that's it. Do you know, the hardest part of this job is actually climbing into the car. Okay. So poke that through. And then I'll need you to hold that glass, if you can, Laura, please, on the outside. Okay, I made a bit more of a mess on this side, but it's fine. I can just clean that up now. Okay, so we're just going to scrape away the excess.
Okay, so I'm just using some tar and glue remover here just to wipe away the excess glue. Yeah, so don't be afraid that by pushing it on it all oozes out, as you've seen in the video. So I'm just kind of cleaning this area up. And it smells.
Okay, so glass is bonded in, brackets are bonded on, and they line up with the inner motors. So there is actually nothing we can do this part apart from wait for the glue to dry. But that's when the exciting bit happens, because we can, like I've already tested this side, so I've got a bit of a wiring loom going just to try. I'll just put a 12-volt battery on it. So when we come back tomorrow, or on the next part of the video, we can put some 12-volt battery to it, and you should be able to see that glass hinge and the motor working. Okay, so last night was last night and today is today. And today means that this glue should be dry, and the bracket that we glued onto the back of the glass, that also should be dry. So if you come around here, that is your hinge. And then obviously you can see that the bracket's on there. But basically that's what I'm doing now. So I am the motor at the moment. So you just, it's closed, and then it'll come open to about there. So what basically that glass is literally just hinging off the bead of glue. And there's no pressure on that glass whatsoever. Yeah, got tongue tied then. Tongue tied. Yeah, that's right. So what we'll do now, we'll connect the motor to the glass. I've got two 10mm nuts, so we'll have one nut on one side and then one the other side. And because the shaft is quite long, we can kind of go backwards and forwards with it, so we can draw the glass in so it's tighter to the seal, or if we need to kind of bring the glass slightly out, we can do. So we've got that movement. We've also, because I drilled the hole slightly bigger for the motor, we can slightly adjust it, not too much, but we can, if we want to, either go up, down, left, right, just to kind of get the best fitment we can. So what I'll do now, I'll jump in, and then we'll get the nuts on, and then I'll show you. I have already wired one in, but I'll show you on the workbench over there how to wire one of these switches. You basically get them off Amazon. If I can remember, I'll put the link in the description, so you can kind of look for yourself. But they're very self-explanatory, and they're a switch that's designed to basically go forward and backwards, because you've got to reverse the motor, otherwise the glass is going to be stuck one way, and that's open. So by doing that, this switch allows you to bring then the glass back in without having to swap wires over. So yeah, so let me jump in the car, and when I mean jump in, brake myself to get in, and we'll get these are just normal 10mm nuts, and then we're going to put one on the spline or the shaft. Then we'll slide the motor on, and then we'll put another 10mm nut on, and then once they're locked together, that should lock everything in, and then we can kind of do that with it, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're just going to get the one 10mm bolt or nut, God, I'm so stupid, on there. We're not too worried about where it's going to situate, but I think the further it is towards the edge, the further pushed out the glass is. So let's get it like that somewhere. And then what we'll do, we'll just bring the glass out and we'll slot it into its hole, and then we basically just stick the other nut on, Basically, I'm just tightening this up. Like it can go a bit more. That'll do for now, I think. So once that's locked on, what I'll do as well, I'll get a 10mm spanner, and then I'll just make sure once I'm happy with it all, I'll lock that side as well, just so it's all nice and tight. But don't forget, I've got to paint this black as well, so it all blends in. So that's in nice and tight now, so that ain't going to go nowhere. I'll show you how to assemble one of these switches now then. So, you see? So you get, they're all in kit form. It's a bit random, but you get 3 switches, which is odd, because, well, that's odd, because I've always got one randomly spare. So, the centre is for the positive and the negative, which is explained with the colours. So obviously red being the positive, black being the negative. So that is your battery source. So your main power from your car is to the centre of the switch. And then they give you like these overlaps. So you basically slot one on that side, and then you bring it over to the other side, but like a cross. You see that? And then the same, basically just repeat what you're doing. Just bring that over. And again, you are now left with 2 power outlets. And these, that connects to the motor. So you connect the power to the from the motor to these, and then the red and black to the battery source. And then that gives you an a working switch. So if I'll show you one I made up earlier. So all I've done for now, I've just put some bullet connectors on just for showing you. So what we'll do, obviously this is the power from the motor. So these are got to go to the red, to the blue, and it doesn't matter which way really. So just connect them up. So we've got the blue connected to the motor, and then this is where you can't get this wrong. So you've got red going to red for the positive, and then the black to black for the negative. Now that should be a powered motor.
Check the way.
Yeah, you go and... Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Some say I'm a genius. Okay, so just a bit of a follow-up now. Obviously I've shown you how we take the glass out, how we make the brackets, the motors that you can find on eBay, the wiring in of the motors, the switches that I use, the positioning of the motors, how we bond the glass in so we can use the bond as the hinge. There isn't really anything else that you really need to know, other than my next part of this job is now I've got to run a wiring loom all the way down to the driver's side and into the driver's door, and that's where I'm going to mount the 2 switches. Let me just grab the switches and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now, let me know in the comments if you want to see part 4, or you don't really need to see that because you can wire it in wherever you want to, etc. But if you come down here, this is where we're going to mount them. Obviously, if that's okay with Barry, but so we're going to mount them in here, side by side. So yeah, just let me know in the comments then if you want to see the actual finished product. I've not actually finished one before. I normally leave it in that state. Obviously just bare, and then the customer then can kind of put his own touch to it. But on this occasion, I am going to be modifying the C-pillars to suit the motors, and obviously wiring in the switches, which are obviously going down here. So if you want to see that, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I think I've shown you enough. And my wife is trying to say something to me again, and I haven't got a fucking clue what she's on about. What? Oh, and we've got a new exciting project coming up on the channel, and it's not really modifying Golfs. We've got a car that I've wanted for years and years and years. I saw it for the first time in Birmingham. I think it was 2000, early 2000s. Now this car, I can't wait to show you on the channel. So if you do want to see more content like this, please stay along for the ride, and please remember to subscribe. Please, I'm begging you. I'm not, but I am.